We are live, coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere in Northeast Ohio. I'm Josh McClay, aka O'Malley of O'Malley's Adventure. That's Mike Slater, City of Massillon Council at Large candidate. And this is O'Malley Live. I want to thank everybody for joining, whether you're watching live or in post. The number to contact the show is 330-809-1924. Or you can email us at o'malleysadventure@yahoo.com. How you doing, my friend?
I am well.
You are well.
How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a we're only halfway there. It's been a little bit of a longer week. It's doing we're getting there. It's gonna
Oh
work out.
yeah. Let's say Mike. What day is it? Mike. It's hump day.
You're right. So we are getting close to the election, and this is trip number 2 for you to O'Malley Live, and
I appreciate it.
we've covered um, quite a bit, and I think tonight we'll just touch on a few things leading up to the election, some of the more hot topic type issues. Um, that being said, I want to give you a good pat on the back. Your performance at the Lions was that speech that was good. I that had my attention. I think people that should be in leadership should be able to present themselves like that. So that being said, I can't endorse. I'm not allowed to do that
You're
because
perfectly fine.
I don't have a horse in the race. I don't live inside the city limits. But it was
With all due
it
respect,
was
with that being said, I have to give credit where credit is due. Um, I did write that myself personally.
uh-huh.
My father was a very diehard Democrat advocate
Yeah.
for the Massillon city.
Yeah.
Raised that way, and he at the kitchen table would preach to us kids and told us all the time that you need to stand up for something because if you don't, that means you agree with what's going on. Be very bold, be very outspoken,
Yep.
but do not be rude.
But don't be right.
So that's why I'm the way I am, and I don't regret what I say.
Cool. So I think to start, let's start with the resi. That seems to be a sort of it's moved to the forefront. People are starting to show up at um, the park board meetings. They're starting to listen to some ideas and the direction that the citizens want to go. And I want to know, what do you think as far as the direction they should go, and how, so maybe even a little bit of a time frame? Is that something that would have to move to the forefront quickly after the election, or no?
Well, first things first, I think that the Parks and Rec Board should pay attention to what the citizens are talking and what they're saying. They're very concerned. Both sides, the Park and Recs Board, really want to know how the citizens feel, which that I appreciate. I did go to the first meeting, was unable to make the second meeting, but stayed through with the loop to find out what's really going on. And I believe wholeheartedly that there is time to move on the reservoir situation. And with that being said, the people want the reservoir restored. Will it be restored? I'm not going to say it's going to be restored to its full entirety like it was before, but it's okay to go to option B, which is that 5 acres of water. It's okay.
Right.
You know, I'd probably say the first half, make it the 5 acres of water, put the fish back in there, let the kids and families do what they do. Do the walking path, upgrade that. Me being me, I'd say put that little driveway back through again.
So you can.
Oh, drive through the water. That's so much fun. That's just me being a kid again.
Right.
The back half, make it a family park with whatever, so sees fit for the kids or families with entertainment.
Yeah.
There's no reason why it can't be done. I think it needs to be done. And of course, after the election, we'll be in the middle of Ohio's great weather. So I'd probably say once the weather breaks, move on it right away and
Right.
get it back to where it needs to be for the people, especially the people who live around there
Right.
who are tired of seeing what they see.
Right.
And I feel for them. So once elected, that's one thing I would actually want to push for right away is to get that back to where it needs to be.
Right. As far as moving forward on things, something I forgot to put on the cheat sheet was pay raises. What's your thoughts on council and pay raises? Actually, I believe it's elected officials and pay increases. What's your thoughts on that?
That was brought up before. I was actually asked that out in public. Um, Me being me, I said this to someone also running for office, and the pay is what it is right now. I am not in favor of the actual increases that are coming or want to be proposed. Um, I think wholeheartedly to run for an office in Maslin
Yeah.
is a challenge in itself. I would like to see actually just the reimbursement of the campaign funds that you put into the campaign. The rest of the monies can be done with whatever. I could pretty much care less about that, but I'm not running for the money. I'm running actually to benefit and better Maslin. So, to make a long story short, I'm not in favor of the pay raise. I think that's just a meaningless thing.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, the other cities might be, making more or whatever. But again, we're focusing on other cities again. Why?
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
I was gonna say that's one thing I think not just in the council large position, but across the board is Maslin comparing themselves to other communities. I think to lead, you should compare yourself to yourself and how to better yourself. Um, but again, that's me.
No, that's why I brought it up at my little time at the Lincoln Theater
Right.
about the late Mary Strukel and her comment about, Maslin is the leader. And
Right.
for the leader, why are we looking after other cities like, the Cantons and the Worcesters? Nothing against them cities. Let them do what they want to do.
Right.
But we are who? We are Maslin.
Right.
Why are we concerned about Worcester's downtown? Are we going to all go down there and hang out?
Right.
Probably not.
Well, that and I've said it before. Their finances are a little bit different.
Oh, yeah.
The same way with Orville. Orville, you got Smith Dairy, Smuckers. I mean, you got some anchors that have been there for a long time. They're not going anywhere, and I'm sure that how they handle their finances is a little bit different too. So,
I admit some of their ideas are nice.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I'm in favor of a water park.
mm-hmm.
I've been barking about that for quite some time. When I was a kid, there was a outdoor swimming pool at the KFC, and
I remember that.
I,
Yeah,
I
we used to
thought
go
it
up
was
there with
great.
the boys club.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was great. And of course, it was closed down for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think Maslin should deeply invest in that. I
Right.
think it would be nice, maybe on the back half of the reservoir. I mean,
Right.
that'd be ideal. 5 acres of water on the one side, the back half, put an outdoor pool with things for people and families to do.
Right.
I think it'd be okay.
Um, let's let's hit on the hospital here a little bit. I think we're getting into a season where I believe the mayor said at the first of the year is when they're going to stop putting money into the maintenance of the building. But they're also working on some type of a deal with the VA. So what's your thoughts on the VA and the hospital and moving that direction?
First off, anybody who's been involved with the government, especially the federal government,
Right.
they don't move awfully fast.
Right.
They actually drag their feet on many issues. I don't foresee the VA being involved. If they do, we're talking 2 years down the road. So it's time to move forward.
Right.
Either sell it off, good luck,
Mm-hmm.
or simply give it away. In my mind, give it away. I know an ideal location for a school system. I think Maslin City Schools would benefit greatly from it.
Right.
And that'd be one direction I would like to see take place, or again, make it a hospital, but that's not looking like it is. I do know that once the Maslin City pulls their timeline on the 2020 situation,
Right.
it's going to go downhill.
Right.
It's not going to be maintained. It's just going to deteriorate. Next thing you know, it's a doctor's hospital part 2. That's not good.
Right.
So we need to resolve that issue right away.
Right. That and something that I sort of err to the side of caution on is um, with the VA hospital, if it would become the VA hospital, then that makes the largest employer in the city
That'd be
government
You're right.
based. And to me, my brain calls that a welfare city, and I don't want to see that. I want to make sure veterans are taken care of.
Sure.
I think they should be at the top of the list. But as far as city finances go and businesses in the city, I think I would approach that one with call. I would watch what you wish for, because Uncle Sam giveth, sometimes Uncle Sam takes away. And we don't want to see
I
that.
think right now they're just grasping for straws.
Right.
You know, it's sad to
So,
say, but they're grabbing for anything.
right.
You know?
So, um, that being said, it would be a good place for a school.
Oh, it'd be
And
great.
the school, I'm sure, is going to be looking at places for property. I mean, it's centrally located. I think that would be a really good place to start anyway. And as far as bus access, you got State, Amherst.
There's it. It would be an ideal location.
It has a lot of room
You know,
to
be
move
an ideal
around.
location for the Massillon City Schools. What they're looking for.
So, let's see, we touched on the resi, the hospital. Um, let's talk a little bit about downtown streetscape. We got, and man, it's crazy. Someone was talking about homecoming coming up, so that means the McKinley Parade is not too far off. And what's your thoughts on streetscape? Is it do you think it's going to meet the timeline, or do you think it's going to hunch the line, or do you think it's going to go over?
Reiterating back what I said with the Lions Lincoln Theater, if it's done by the 25th of October deadline, I'd be shocked. I don't think it's going to be done. That's just my. I went down there last weekend and looked at it, and it looks nice. It really does. But again, the businesses are hurting.
Right,
Some are making money off of them, but some are not.
right,
And so, with that being said, I don't see it being done by then. The Massillon McKinley Parade, probably for the first, not probably for, but the first time in its many years of being introduced to be a parade, it's not going down Lincoln Way. It's going to be a bypass, unless they do a straight down route or something, but
right,
it's not looking too good. Not looking too good at all. And people are concerned. People are asking questions. They want to know what's going to happen.
right.
You know, is there going to be one? Oh my gosh, no way, there's not going to be one. So I would cautiously advise the city to move rapidly, not in a negative sense, just to get it done because they want to get done. No,
Right.
you know, do what you got to do, and you might want to consider having a Massillon McKinley parade.
Yeah. Something I got to thinking about too, as far as downtown goes. You got the Aldi's going in down at
Down by Menards.
down by Menards, and then you got the Dollar General there where the old Horseman School.
Correct.
Um, and in my head, I'm thinking Elam's just moved out of the town plaza. Save-A-Lot is probably going to be hurt by um, Aldi's gone in, and I believe the existing Dollar General, isn't there one in the town plaza?
Correct. It's very small. That's why they chose
Okay.
to get a larger location.
Sure. So in my head, a little forethought, that building potentially could be empty
Again,
again. And what's your thoughts on that as far as trying to keep businesses downtown versus them spreading towards the outer sides of the city?
all I can simply say is you got to maintain what you have and somehow maintain or somehow control what's actually taking place by helping the businesses that are actually down there. Whatever it takes to do, you got to communicate and talk to them. You can't just expect them to tolerate and or continue on what's going on. The downtown is not so much a dying thing, but there needs to be more stuff downtown to draw the families downtown.
Right.
What more better thing to do in a family fun center? I know Ealing Music is not big enough for a family fun center. Maybe a roller skating rink down there, small bowling alley, whatever the case may be.
Right.
There needs to be more entertainment. There needs to be an anchor store down there. Save-A-Lot can't hold it all by itself. They're not that big of a chain.
Right.
As far as Aldi's is, you know, a good place, I guess, to shop. I like Save-A-Lot. I've always shopped there. Plus, it's American owned,
Right.
so USA,
Right.
you know, versus Germany.
Right.
I just don't think that Aldi's will be a major benefactor to Save-A-Lot. I just think it's just going to be down there, and you go there if you want to go there. If you don't, you don't. But they got to somehow communicate with the businesses downtown to keep them going with whatever it takes to get them to maintain and stay.
That being said, there's been more talk again about the buildings downtown, the vacant ones, and as far as putting things in them, the McClymonds building, that's one of my favorite buildings downtown. I mean, that when I see that, to me that's a cool piece of architecture, And to my knowledge, other than the first level, there's nothing in it. Um, is there? Could you foresee maybe the city pursuing putting in some type of I don't want to call them condos,
That's what
but
I'm thinking.
larger
Um,
flats or whatever you would call them,
I
apartments.
think it'd be ideal for downtown living,
Right.
just like the Duncan apartments right there on the corner. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, me, if I was a single man, I wouldn't mind living downtown.
Right.
I lived downtown Seattle for an extended period of time. I loved it.
Right.
It's very busy. People like to watch things like that.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it. The building's been empty for a very long time.
Right.
Angry Barbecue's down below, which is a bonus,
Right.
as long as they can hang in there and keep going. Above that, there's not a lot of anything. Very educational building itself.
Right.
There's a lot of history, a lot of good things going on. My thing is the property owners that own these buildings, if they do their part and maintain the codes and maintain everything, not be outdated, and they got to take care of their stuff.
Right.
I think the homeowners in Mass have to take care of theirs, so the business owners should take care of theirs as well.
Right.
It's just how it should work. So, if it can't make it into something as far as commercial goes, I'd like to see it go as a downtown living,
Right.
something of that sort, to be occupied.
Um, I just drew a blank. That's bad. The meeting last night for the Ward 4, the get together. There's more discussion about a animal control. Now I get it that I mean obviously with things that need done with infrastructure and police fire, you can't stick animal control all the way at the top of the list, but it should probably be on that list somewhere. How does that rate as far as things that should be done after the election? Do you think that the animal control is something that should be a priority or middle priority? What do you think?
I think there's a time and a place for everything. Maslin has other issues that I'm not going to say are as important, but that needs to be somehow filled in to be handled appropriately, because there is a lot more wild animals than what we think there is
Right.
running around. So with that being said, I would like to see it somehow be included rather quickly, but not to override the stuff that's more important.
Right.
So there is priorities need to be handled first, like I said earlier, but there's ways to include that.
Right.
And I'd like to see it take place. Vicki Davis was irreplaceable. She
Right.
knew what to do, how to
Right.
say it. So I would like to include that when the appropriate time would take place.
That and she funded a lot of that out of her own pocket.
She did.
So
She did.
that's I believe Jason Harris made the comment that as far as the staffing of the police department goes, they have
Correct.
open slots. I'm sure with that combination, as far as the finances, because it's not going to be free, and the need, I think there's a way to work that, and hopefully,
There can be adjustments made to add that in.
sure.
There always is.
So, see, animal control. There was one more. It's homeowners associations. What's your thoughts? Do you think that after the election that some type of maybe a once a month work session that included the homeowners associations? It's something I was thinking about today. If the different groups meet with the actual council people, and that meeting would be specific to their needs. Like right now, when they have a work session, sometimes people get up and they talk about downtown buildings or streetscape or this and, but it would be specific to their neighborhoods. Is that something you would consider?
I would. There's a reason why homeowners associations are set up, and that's to help the homeowners in a particular area, like Walnut Hills, for an example, and other areas that need to be addressed. That's why they're there, to be there to handle the situations that are at hand. With that being said, that needs to be set at a councilman's level, and that way it can be brought forth to help the councils that are actually working with the city of Maslin. You need to get these things handled and situated. If not, of course, they're going to run amok and do what they want to do.
Right.
And that's why homeowners associations are very, very important, not only just for Massillon, but throughout the community as well.
Right.
Even around the county. But more so, Massillon needs to address their situations for what they actually are. So if a homeowner association agrees on one thing, they should stick to what they agree on and move forward.
Right.
Like sign locations or putting signs up in your yard, and you can't do that because the homeowner association said you can't do that. I think what you put in your own individual yard is your own business.
Right.
Whether it be a flagpole or a political sign or whatever you want to put in your yard, doesn't make a difference.
Right.
I think those need to be addressed. But the councilman of that particular area needs to address those situations appropriately with the town meeting
Right.
to find out what the needs actually are, get them handled. And so that way Massillon can move forward with the homeowners association as well.
Sort of tied to that, what about neighborhood watch? Is it, when I was a kid, that was sort of a growing movement, and
Correct.
now you'll see signs for neighborhood watch, and any neighborhood I've ever been in or lived in that had those signs, they're really, it's just a sign. There's no neighborhood watch. Is that something that
I would like to see, when I was going door to door, even in April, starting in April, one of the things I brought to the families was growing up, we had neighborhood watch programs and we had block homes. And those are a thing of the past that need to be reinstated. I know most neighborhoods, I know my neighborhood, I grew up in a very strong neighborhood. In fact, I'm living in my childhood home. And
Right.
I'm actually I'm one of the kids, like each one of the homes in my whole block is the kids of the parents who have passed on.
Right.
So we all look after one another. If we go on vacation, we let each other know what's going on. Hey, I'm going to be gone for whatever amount of time. Those need to be reinstated. Even a sign on the road. This is a neighborhood watch program,
Right.
watch area, whatever the case may be. It might not detour 100% of the crime, but it can help some.
Right.
And there needs to be more police routes ran to also minimize what's going on. Again, you're not going to detour crime 100%, but it's going to help. I think a reinstatement of all those things should take place. I really do. With all the things that are going on throughout the town, the county,
Right.
we need to be more proactive on that kind of stuff. We really do.
Um, I'll use that as far as the staffing of the police department. I didn't realize that they were still down 3. I believe that was the number he said. Is that something else you would bring them up to that staffing level?
Massillon needs to be properly staffed with policemen and firemen.
Okay.
I know that takes a chunk of the budget. We all know that. With that being said, somehow make it work.
Right.
Fully staff what you need. That way, that when there is a need for whatever emergency the case may be, you have what you need. You need to have your proper police staffing.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, why would you have one if you're short 3 people, and they have to run all the way on the west side of Massillon, and something happens on the east side? You're going to make these guys cut their own throat trying to get there.
Right.
So that needs to take place, and more safety training.
Right. Also, and I don't know if it was discussed at the last meeting, but they've been discussing the transportation money. Right now, I believe they split it 90-10. The fire department gets 10% of the money that they generate from transport, and they're talking about moving that to 20%. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think moving that to 20% is good, bad, or indifferent?
Depending on where that all lies. Again, once I get elected, I'll be reviewing the numbers of what takes place. I'd like to see, once again, whatever they need, the firemen need, whatever the policemen need, and whatever even all that, with that being said, transportation needs, I'd like to see that work out to where there is the possibility for the monies to be there where they need to be. I was a big fan of Jay Budishwar. I know he's long gone by now.
Right.
But he knew how to have a budget inside of a budget to make another budget. So he was that way. Massillon needs to get proactive on that rainy day funding and not pull away from it. And it happened before, pulling away from monies for something else, but you need to make sure those things are properly staffed with the proper monies. If you need to relocate some monies, do it the right way.
Right.
Allocate the monies out. If we need 20% to go on that, we're going to do it.
Right.
That's what needs to be done.
A little bit more on the park. right now there's almost people, and I don't want to say shift, but at times I believe the mayor said she's looking at putting $100,000, I believe was the number. She's considering doing that as far as taking $100,000 and moving it towards the golf course. I believe I don't quote me on that. I'll have to go back and look at the. Is that something that you would look at doing as far as appropriating money from the general fund to pay down that debt? And I believe it's for the golf course. I think they got what, 7 years left.
They have many years left, and one thing I was asked during my campaign, while out knocking on doors, even over there by the golf course, what was my idea? How do I stand? Um, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a very good golfer. Do I golf? Yes. If you want a good laugh, come with me and watch me golf. With that being said, I like to see the golf course be minimized down to 18 holes,
Right.
and to be privatized.
Okay.
Stop taking money away from the parks. That wasn't the original intention. And we keep drawing money away to pay off the golf course, which is it's not, I'm not in favor of it.
Right.
I'm just not. I think you should keep the monies where they're at. There's 30 parks in Massillon, and if you want to include the Legends in that, now you pretty much have one, because the Legends absorbs most of it anyway. And I'm not a big fan of the way the maintenance is being maintained right now with all the parks. So I would like to see the parks that we have, the 30. I think that's a rather large number for a small town that we have.
Right.
I'd like to see some of the parks, I don't want to say eliminated, but cut back or something of the sort.
Right.
But as far as answering the question with the Legends, that's a money pit.
Right.
It's just sucking the juice out of the Parks and Rec.
It is sort of a boat anchor.
It's a very much a big boat anchor. That wasn't the intention of the monies.
Right. So what do you have coming up as far as moving into the last part of the election season?
Well, with it's amazing how the time has just evaporated.
Oh, it did.
It's coming rather quickly. And what I find myself doing is pacing myself.
Right.
And considering we're at the last 100 yards before the banner rolls out and the winners be announced, I do have a live video feed taking place on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live.
Okay.
I would encourage everyone listening here and around Massillon to call in, send a message. What about this? What about that? That's one of my main drives right there on the Saturday. However, other things I'll be doing, and I will be still knocking on doors probably up until the weekend of the election. But once it gets closer and closer and closer, in my mind, if your mind's not made up of who you're going to vote for, then you might want to, check your numbers, read your newspapers, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I've learned in the past that if you go all the way the distance, you're probably going to burn yourself out, and that's not good for your family or yourself. A shout out to my wife, Candy, and my kids, especially my wife, Candy. She's been a trooper through all this. She's a godsend. I mean, she'd much rather go out banging on doors with me just to be with me, because we pretty much have eliminated our summer by going on, knocking on doors and talking to people. I would much rather do it all over again to meet more Massillon people. I've learned a lot. I'm just a people person. I like to talk to people.
Right.
I think, again, and I reinstate what I said at the Lions Lincoln Theater, the people out there on the streets that I'm talking to, and their homes, the neighborhoods, they just want to know who their councilman or woman actually is, and they just want to be represented. They want to be heard.
Right.
All of us want to be heard. If we're not going to be heard, we're going to find someone who's going to listen and is going to respond.
Right.
I'm a very straightforward guy. I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you what you're going to probably not want to hear, but you'll know where I stand. And that's how I've always been. That's how I was raised. All of us kids were raised the exact same way, from Pat all the way down to myself. Pat's my sister. She's the oldest.
Right.
And so we're all raised a particular way. So I'm going to keep doing what I continue to do, talking to people, knocking on doors,
Right.
Meet and greet whenever I can. Of course, do the live video feed. And there'll be other things that's coming up.
Right.
And there's some undisclosed information that I'll be doing as well,
Right.
which it's all in fun. And November 5th will come, and it will go. And I believe wholeheartedly that whoever God chooses to put in there at that appointed time,
Right.
whatever God you choose to believe in, that's who's going to get elected. So I encourage everyone to make their voices known. Massillon right now is at a crossroads. And
Right.
the only way it's going to change is if people choose to make that change. It's not going
Right.
to change by sitting at home and flicking a channel.
Right.
You're going to have to get out, do an absentee ballot, go to your voting booth,
Right.
talk to people, encourage each other to get out and make the change and vote.
Right.
And so I ask everybody to get out and vote Mike Slater, your next Massillon Council at Large. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all I have. If that's all you have, it's been a pleasure having you on. I think the the pattern is full coming to the end.
I bet.
Later, actually not later this week. Tomorrow we have Jack Moore at 7, and Friday we have Paul Manson at 4. So stay tuned for that if you guys are into that. I'm going to give you the floor one last time. If you got anything else to put out there, let her rip.
Vote early, vote often. Vote Mike Slater, your next council at large, because there can only be one vote that counts, and that is me. Mike Slater, your councilman at large. Thank you.
And that's all I have. Until tomorrow, stay sharp, keep a tight shot group, and rock on.